Greetings, fellow enthusiasts of propane and propane accessories. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
I tell you what. And welcome to the King of the Hill, Season 14, SpoilerCast. All right, Dragon, let's crack open an Alamo beer. Probably non-alcoholic in both our cases, most likely.
One of our cases.
that fits into this season. That's actually appropriate to one of the stories this season. And let's just jump right in, Dragon. Of course, this is something that you and I we've covered pretty extensively. Like as the news was rolling out on this, we'd cover it on memoirs. So, Dragon, did it live up to your expectations? These 10 episodes?
Oh yeah, possibly even surpassed my expectations. I mean, this was high. This was a highly anticipated revival. You know, we love
probably one of my most anticipated things on TV. Period. This year to come out.
So I mean, look, we love Hank Hill, and boy oh boy, we need him now more than ever. So that's kind of what was like, kind of almost the impetus for like why a revival was such a good idea for King of the Hill versus all these other shows. And it was just like, it was really great. It was really surprising to me and delightful that we had all 10 episodes at once, which I did not expect. So it was a very nice binge and surprise of a binge. So it was, it was like, okay, I was expecting like a week to week. I was like, oh my God, all dropped at once. This is awesome.
You know what? I'm actually really happy with how I did my binges because I did my binge kind of old school style where I would do like the block of episodes. I'd watch 2 episodes a night for 5 nights, and that's how I got through it. And that felt very reminiscent of like old school when when these would play on like FX and whatever, like 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, King of the Hill, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, The Simpsons, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, Family Guy. You get my gist. Right. So it was very fun to do it that way.
So, I here's the thing with this season overall, I really felt this was very focused on story, more so characterization. I think it was really focused on characterization, and it really zeroed in on the stuff I love most about King of the Hill, which really, really excited me. It was, really dialed in on the heart, which, I mean, kind of the idiom I kind of use for is like, it's kind of the heart from the heartland is kind of what the equation of King of the Hill is, and it was kind of the groove they found themselves in after kind of that, kind of feeling things out after the first season, at the very least that first episode, which we were not fans of.
Well, we've already discussed this. Like, just go to episode 2. Episode 2 is the Fire Ants episode. That's way more in line with a good introduction.
You don't mess with a man's lawn, Dale. Anyways,
kick your ass.
Anyway, so it really these 10 episodes really overall they really zeroed on what's my favorite element of the show, and it feels like because it's 10 episodes, because of the work that went into this, it felt like we cut as much fat as we could to make the perfect steak of 10 episode season. It's now, mind you, Peggy Hill notwithstanding, because there's some things we can't trim.
We'll get into Peggy. We'll get into Peggy pretty much immediately in the first episode. It's not a good first impression.
We will, but so just on the whole, with this revival season, they nailed it. It felt like I was watching the best parts of King of the Hill, so I was a very happy customer of this.
Yeah. Dragon, you know what? It's weird. It's almost like time jumps make the time in between, an animated series. You know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm throwing shade at Incredibles 2. No, but seriously, I mean, you know me, Dragon. I'm a sucker for a good time jump, and honestly, I think this is one of the best to do it. I mean, what I really like about this, though, just the approach of it, is that, Dragon, I love that this is branded as just, like, the next season of King of the Hill. I love that this isn't, like, like a sequel series or anything like that. It feels very authentically like, yeah, we're just picking up where we left off. That's like a subtle thing, like not giving this its own kind of series title and just making it a part of the original show. But I think that just kind of, it goes to show the confidence that the creators have in this thing. The fact that like, no, this isn't just going to stand toe to toe with the original show. This is going to be like, maybe the revival seasons, could potentially be some of the better seasons of the show. We'll see how long it goes. I don't want this to turn into a Futurama situation where it's like we literally don't know where to end it and we keep reviving it. But I don't know, man. I'm optimistic. I definitely am looking forward to more seasons of this for sure. And yeah, so just to say, I agree with you, Dragon. I think that this episode or this season very much was just kind of like it was so refreshing to get into Hank Hill's mindset. Because Hank Hill is the kind of conservative where it's like he doesn't go over the top with it. He's built on the American values, but he doesn't hate, even if he doesn't understand sometimes. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We have great moments within the season, which we'll dial in on, that really showcase that element of the character. Which again, this is showing Hank Hill may be a little older, but he's still got it, baby. He's still got it.
If anything, the current, not to get too political here, but the current right wing is a little bit more like Dale, and this series also showcases that in a fun way. So, all right. Okay, so is that about it, Dragon?
Yeah, let's.
All right. Okay, let's dive in. Episode 1, Return of the King. Great episode titles all around, I think.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, so unfortunately, Dragon, this episode does start with maybe one of the roughest gags in the whole season.
You know what's funny? About the
what?
We open and close on an element that was like I was very like, oh boy, that's our opening joke, and then we ended
We ended with, oh no,
and yet we ended essentially with, or at least the bit that happens right before the end of the bit is, okay, we're gonna be all right, we're gonna be a-okay. So it's time jump. It's 8 years. It's 8 years later, at least in universe, roughly. It's been 15 years, really, but it's like,
I have some criticisms of the way that they. Like, I think some of the math isn't mathing with some of the character ages, but we'll get into that.
With GH as a whole.
GH is the big one.
GH essentially,
is GH a we don't care? It's just like he'd just be better as a teenager than he would be as a little kid.
Okay, look, I could be wrong because it's been a while since I haven't really done like a full binge of the entire series over again, aside from my initial binge of it. But well, we saw. Based on what you and I just talked about recently with King of the Hill, with the last season, Christmas in July, we had GH, and that was season 6. So presumably, I think it was the cartoon trope of like he's going to remain a baby, like Bobby's going to remain kind of like an 11 to 13-year-old. It might be like a 3-year age thing roughly, but we're not going to show it. So I don't know if we saw GH and he's perpetually stayed a baby, or like logically, well, if he's a baby whenever the first season he's born is, then add the number of seasons as years, and then add the 8 years, and then he would probably.
It's a little bit of a cheat, but I'll give it a pass. It really didn't bother me.
So I applied that logic to where I can't remember if he aged up in the back.
Honestly, I was just excited for the premise of him of GH being one of those like Andrew Tate bros. I love that premise. We'll get into that episode anyway.
I'm with you though. In hindsight, I kind of wish it was 50. We need Bobby to be not too old, and we need
honestly the Bobby thing kind of bothers me a little bit, just because, just characterization wise, Bobby just strikes me as someone who would be more like in their late 20s than early 20s.
Well, let's see. So he was like roughly like 12 or 13 by the time the show ended.
I'm not even talking like characterization. I'm just talking like how he's portrayed in this show, even in literally one of his first scenes in this show. Just very like, okay, well let's yeah,
you're right. We're jumping. Sorry, we're jumping all over the place. The point being is with the point we have the Hills on a plane. They're flying back from the Aramco.
Oh my God, Dragon.
Saudi Arabia, as Peggy Hill says.
I love that. Is one of my favorite Peggy running gags in the season is the whole Saudi Arabia.
So the
Dragon,
first
I
joke
just thought of a perfect episode for King of the Hill. You ready?
What?
Hank's on a plane. Right.
That's good.
Tell me that's not clever.
No, that's clever. This episode kind of hurts the potential for that title, though. But
yeah, but it'd be a better Snakes on a Plane episode than the Cobra Kai one.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's twofold. Okay, so we have basically open on the narrow urethra embarrassment joke. Now, on one hand, I like that I still would have opened with it as the first joke, but the point as a reintroduction to Hank and Peggy, but it does feel a lot like it's the addressment of old age and the status quo of like, okay, so it's the new struggles of being older, in which we're addressing the urethral problem, which was always like, it was always a random. Basically, we need an excuse for why would the Patriot that is Hank Hill not enlist, and aside from them, we have to get into issues like would he hunt, would he not hunt? Well, we've seen in the past. I mean, he's been very. Hank Hill is not what you'd call the violent hunting type, but he is So it's unclear if he would have been bred for combat or not. Which that was the big wedge between him and Cotton Hill, was that he was willing to serve his country, of course, but the urethra prevented him from doing so, and his father, judged him very harshly, unfairly judged him very harshly. So again, the thing that was honestly, it's interesting that I'm reading way too far into this, mind you. One could say that opening with the urethra joke is basically the acknowledgement of, okay, Hank Hill is older. He's roughly, I'm not saying he's the same age as his father, but he is kind of like he's getting to the age range that his father was in the show. So it's kind of like the constant.
I mean, Cotton Hill was already even before the GH situation, which is its own can of worms. Yeah. He was already kind of like an elder father, in the grand scheme of things.
So, I mean, age-wise, I forget how old Cotton was supposed to be. But the point being is that Hank is kind of in that, he's getting into...
At least in his 70s.
At least. I mean, at late 60s being generous. But the point being, like, he's getting in... He's facing down, like, kind of becoming kind of more like his father in that respect, in terms of age-wise. So it's like the reminder of his father is just kind of always with him with that urethra thing. And, of course, Peggy just, like, announcing it to the plane. I felt so bad.
I don't know, man. For me, it's honestly like it's good that we get it out of the way early because it's genuinely one of my least favorite moments in the entire fucking season. Because it's just like, to me, it almost kind of feels like Mike Judge just being like, oh, you don't like this element of Peggy Hill as a character? Well, we're just going to shove it in your face.
Yep. Which is like, and I was like, I felt, again, it's a thing where like, I don't like
almost felt like Mike Judge was trolling in a way. You know what I mean?
In a way, I mean, I don't like, it feels like it's kind of like a warm-up exercise where, okay, Peggy Hill, this is kind of like, the usual stuff that she does. And mind you, there's a lot of exposition that we work into episode 1 now. Mind you, hers a little clunky with the just, like just mentioning all that kind of stuff. But I like that the framework of the episode is we're reintroduced to Texas now and the status quo via kind of the culture clash that Hank and Peggy are dealing with on the way home from the airport to the neighborhood. So I really liked all of that. Structurally, it's a very solid first episode in that regard. So if you,
I think the one thing with this episode, like for me, and it's really not the episode's fault at all, but I will say it is one of my less favorite episodes of the season for 2 reasons, and that's. You have to kind of set up a lot. You don't get that much time to actually get into character stuff. It is a lot of setup. And B, most of the stuff that we see in the trailers takes place from this episode. So it's like we're getting a lot of the best gags from this episode have already kind of been, given away. But again, that's not really like I can't blame the episode for either of those things.
It gave us that ending, though. It gave us the ending, which still I think really that was something we did not get in the trailers that really brought it on home for me.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's start with some. But you're right. You're right though. It's kind of the advertisement episode. It's like the whole it's the sign twirling episode. Like, hey, come watch the rest of the show. We have to. So we have.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, the season gets significantly better. Like, I'm not saying this episode is bad by any means, but like the next couple episodes are just stellar.
It's building intrigue. You got to start on the surface, and then you get under. Kind of probe deeper.
All right, so hold on really quick, Dragon. We got John Kelly, the Devourer of Worlds. John Kelly, I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't have like a John Kelly, the salesman of propane or something like that. But he's got
the Mac Daddy of Heimlich County.
Right. Dragon, did you appreciate that I tried to do the video description in Boomhauerisms?
Well,
I don't think I did as good of a job as John Kelly does right here. He's saying, man, I tell you what, dang old season 14, man, they done gone, brought it back, man. Keep them dang old Hank, Dale, Bill, and Bobby sounding just like themselves, man.
See, in hindsight, we probably should have outsourced that to John Kelly for the
right. Ain't trying to be something they ain't. I tell you what, still fresh, still funny, dang old feel like we never left, man. Talk about dang old feels like coming home, man. What I will say, Dragon, I think probably my biggest laugh in the whole fucking season comes from a Boomhauerism.
Yeah.
And it's not even something he says. It's something on a sign. You know what I'm talking about.
All right.
That killed me, Dragon. That fucking killed me.
God.
All right, anyways.
All right, so with their culture clash stuff, we have the Uber thing, which, by the way, we never really properly talked about the Uber thing. So we keep quoting it, but we didn't really talk about it. So the idea that so Hank again reluctantly takes an Uber in an electric car, which makes it even funnier. Um, and he gets home and basically you have like the Uber driver trying to be really like he wants friendly. Everything's gonna get like 5 stars, right? I love the way we did the timing on that because it always feels like the very disingenuous 5 stars, right? It's like just the guy very clearly wants something.
No, you can tell like he wasn't just fishing for the 5 stars. Like he was going out of his way to earn the 5 stars, which is what makes what Hank does even more insulting.
No, I think he was being disingenuous with the help because it's the way he kept saying 5 stars, 5 stars. It feels like that's the guy who's doing this just for the 5 stars. He's not.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say that same thing about like a waiter, like going around to your table and talking to you and stuff.
Well, it's not just him saying that to you. It's just the way in which he's just very like the speed at which like give me 5 stars so I can move on to my next job.
Right.
Regardless of I honestly, if I were this Uber driver, okay, and Hank Hill told me, I'm going to give you a 4 so you have something to shoot for, I would have respected the answer of just like, okay, he's not going to give it to me, but he gave me a reason why. I would have appreciated that.
Yeah, but with Ubers, it's like if you even get a 4-star, that could be a difference maker, as far as I know, in the Uber economy.
No, you're right. In the Uber community, it's the weird star rating, and I hate that the world just comes down to ratings like that.
Well, I know, I'm with you.
Anyway, so then we have we have like the all gender bathrooms. Are we all gender?
I love the design of the two different like bathroom like plaques. It's very perfect for like what it would be in Texas.
I just love like the guy who just shrugs off. I mean, they're all gender, so it doesn't really matter. So let's see. So the note. I love the last straw for Hank. Really was like the whole, and I can relate to this. Was the idea like you have like the no. They've updated things since, and you have like the no turn cones, like they're preventing you from turning down to like an alleyway to your own house or something. That kind of.
Oh, that's actually something that we're dealing with in Petaluma, Dragon. Don't even get me started. There's been some recent developments in the Petaluma infrastructure, like streetwise. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? You're just overcomplicating it.
So anyway, so we kind of address like kind of some fun kind of the way the world has changed since 2010, which is basically when the last episode of King of the Hill was, and we have like also post-pandemic living and everything, and also we have a new character. We have not a big character, but he's there. Brian Robertson, played by the wonderful Keith David.
I'm definitely hoping that this character like eventually goes on to have more prominence as the series goes on, because I definitely think he shined in the limited role he had. I mean, it's Keith David, so of course.
And we brought him back a couple times. I think
no, they did. They did. I mean, I think that the MVP new character is kind of on the Bobby side of things, which we'll get to soon. But yeah.
All right, so Boomhauer, he's basically.
Dragon, I just want to say right up top, Boomhauer is my favorite part of this whole season. I love everything that they do with Boomhauer. I love the idea. They don't really emphasize it that much, Dragon, but do you notice that, like, we never do see the girlfriend that he's with, who's the mother of the kid that's always hanging around.
Luke's the kid.
Right. But in the intro, we see her, but her face is covered with the mask. Did you notice that?
I did not know. Oh, you mean it's like the pandemic mask?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
So basically what I think they're trying to do is they're basically trying to do like a hidden girlfriend type of thing. Like the show is kind of going out of their way to kind of like cover up like the face of the girlfriend, kind of like Niles's wife on Frasier a little bit.
A little bit like Maris.
Yeah, a little bit. I got a little bit of Maris vibes there. But Dragon, I can't say enough good things about how fucking awesome of an idea it was to give Boomhauer like a stepson figure who looks up to him. I love that. It changes Boomhauer's whole dynamic, but not in a bad way at all. I don't know. I
Well,
honestly
the gag is like each of these characters, and with the exception of Bill, who's more of an exaggeration, but we'll get there in a second. They're all the antithesis of what they were in the show. Like Dale with a government position, and Boomhauer, as a family man.
right, but I honestly think that Boomhauer probably has like the most realistic and satisfying character growth in between the two seasons out of any of our characters.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I would agree. That also, you know what else it makes him?
Huh.
Makes him Luke's non-biological father.
Absolutely. Absolutely it does. Oh god.
Okay, let's see. So that's we have Boomhauer. Of course, yeah, Boomhauer is a little more affection. Again, being kind of the role model father figure role. He's given. Oh, look at me! I'm getting a hug. Okay.
Mm.
So Dale. So Dale was mayor temporarily.
I love that little detail. That's fun.
So I just love that
Especially fun
Dale.
for just how short term it lasted.
But it's the fact that he became mayor just to prove a point, essentially, like the whole 9% thing, and just the disinterest of the community. That's how he could actually get his way to mayor. But God, it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, we introduced him as like a human blob who's just fallen into a depression with the hills gone.
So, Dragon, I'm not gonna lie, Bill is kind of one of my nitpicks about the season in general. I just don't really think we do a lot with him. And I think Dragon, okay, I'm gonna like straight up. Did it bother you at all that Bill is in this kind of like terrible state with the long beard and the weight gain? I kind of feel like we hand wave that a little too quickly, and that might be one of my biggest storytelling nitpicks out of the whole
Okay, do you
season.
mean he should have been basically in worse shape throughout the season?
Maybe either that, or at the very least, like I think that he could have. I think like played the depression up. The depression is fine. I think it's unrealistic to put him in as big of a rut as he was in. I don't know. Like honestly, Dragon, I think you could do all the characterization. I think you could have the beard. You could have the characterization of him barely leaving the house. I love the whole dynamic of him, like not even leaving the house for the Amazon orders and stuff. Like it is very realistic to Bill. It is. I'm not saying like characterization wise it's bad. It's mostly the weight gain that gets to me. And I don't know, Dragon. Maybe it's just because I've been on my own weight loss journey and it's like I've been on that journey for a number of months. I've lost about, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 pounds. And Bill, he lost a lot more than that, dude, to slim down to basically his design in the original show from
Well,
where
hey, he had Hank Hill helping him out, Tiki. You don't have that.
you know what? That's fair. That's fair.
If you had Hank Hill in your corner, you'd be in fantastic shape.
I'll just give it a pass based on that. I don't know. Bill, I just don't necessarily think he gets one episode, and that episode might be not my favorite.
I know,
So
yeah, well, yeah, that's one we'll have to get to.
I just think out of the lead characters, Bill is maybe the one that kind of gets sidelined a little in this particular season. There's a lot we can still do with him, though, and don't get me wrong. And obviously Stephen Root is one of the big MVPs of the King of the Hill voice cast, and he still does a good job. I'm just saying, like, out of the alley guys, I think he's the one that, and just by the very nature of the character, he would be the one to have changed the least, and that makes sense. I don't know. I didn't really ever at any point in the season feel like we got any pathos for Bill as a character like we did in some of the better Bill episodes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He just kind of like existed to be pathetic in the season, and that's really about it.
No, you're right about that. Honestly, Tiki, I really think it was that we didn't have episodes to develop. I think we didn't have enough episodes to spare to like. We had one Bill episode that was a kind of a classic Bill move, but it wasn't the deepest Bill episode that we know we're capable of. I just don't think they had room for it. And again, mind you, I think there was hope for more seasons. I don't think it's a guarantee yet, but based on the performance of this season, I think the odds would favor it, but it's not a guarantee.
Sure.
It hasn't been announced yet. I'm hoping for more seasons, especially if they're going to be like this. And just 10 episodes is a lot more achievable than the whole 22, the whole way we used to do it. Okay, John Kelling in the comments says, I wash my hands next to Keith David in a convention bathroom. Other one, Tiki. There you go. In a convention bathroom. True story.
All right, and then John Kelling's also saying, I finished Netflix. Do you know when you get to the end of Netflix, they send you something called a wellness check?
God, that's funny.
Dragon, I legitimately do not believe that it's physically possible to quote unquote finish Netflix.
Well, that's the joke, Tiki. Yeah.
I literally think there is more content on Netflix than any one person could watch in an entire fucking lifetime.
I don't know about a lifetime. I think you could actually calculate a number.
I don't know. I'd be interested to find out that number. But then I got the VPN, Hank, and that lets me watch all kinds of different Netflix. I got Canada Netflix. I got Mexico Netflix.
Sure, right. Netflix appreciated that one. Anyway, yeah. So also, as John Kelly, yeah, I have met Keith David, so that's awesome.
Nice.
So I wanted to shout that one out. Okay. So Bobby Hill. Let's talk about Bobby. So see,
I think Bobby is the MVP of the season.
I full-heartedly agree.
And honestly, Dragon, I was worried about Bobby. I'm not gonna lie. I was worried about the fact that
was it because the boy's not right?
Well, yeah, obviously. No, I was worried about the fact that he was in Austin. That's what I was worried about. I was worried that it would basically feel like two different shows, you know, like the Bobby Hill cooking, you know, running a restaurant show and the Hank Hill struggling with retirement show. And in a way, it is like, we do get that. Like, I wish there was a way that we could have Bobby and Hank interacting a little bit more, because I definitely think the season really shines in the Bobby and Hank episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, what I love about Bobby and Hank is that it's a great role reversal where all of the Bobby stories are about work and adult life and stuff, and all of the Hank stories are about random goofy side quests.
They've switched places.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
You know what else is great about that with them switching places? It's that basically through Bobby, we have like the workplace stuff we had with Hank, you know, with Mr. Strickland and everything.
Exactly.
Thinking he has a boss that, you know, doesn't respect him at all either.
Yeah, but at least Bobby's self-aware about that.
That's true. So Bobby, he's grown. We established, you know, he's really good at cooking at the tail end of King of the Hill, the season 13. So basically, he has grown to be a very skilled hibachi chef at Robotachan. So basically, it's a Japanese-German fusion restaurant, and you know, basically, he's again, I love he's very happy. He's hardworking like Hank, and that's the thing that really allayed me. This is what I'm talking about, man. They're really dialing into like the stuff I wanted to see expanded upon, where, you know, he's very much become his father's son in all the best ways. He's the co-owner of you know, with Chan Wasana-san. We saw the Wasana-sans. He was always like the boss man that Khan was kissing up to. So it's Bobby's gonna, you know, basically him. It's him and Chan's father, Ted Wasana-san, but he's you know, he's basically, you know, it's a busy project for the irresponsible son, essentially. So, but again, it's really interesting. You know, we have like you know, through like the partiers, like, you know, like chatting up Iron Chef Bobby, and they're saying like, yeah, you know, he didn't do college because, you know, he knew what he wanted to do and he didn't want the student loans. Which again,
okay, so that right there, I feel like the fact that his peers are kind of giving him shit for not going to college, Dragon, that is more of a thing that you go through in your late 20s, early 30s. I feel like if you're 21 and you've got your own business and it's successful, no, people are going to look at that like, hell yeah, bro, you beat the system. You know, like, I don't know. Yeah. I kind of wish that Bobby was aged up just a little bit more. Like, and honestly, I feel like Bobby is, and, you know, granted, he is Hank Hill's son, so he does have a certain level of maturity to him. I think he's almost too mature as far as the characterization goes to be a believable 21-year-old. Well, but then again, I mean, we don't have Joseph in this episode, but Joseph is one of my favorite parts of the season from a comic relief point of view. And Joseph does very much embody what an actual 21-year-old acts like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Tiki, I take your point, but by the same token, with the points that you've laid out, it feels like, look, being Hank Hill's son, especially making the decision, he probably had to explain to his father, like, I don't want to go to college. I want to pursue this. You know, he would have full-on committed to, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right in a time that ordinarily, you're right, ordinarily it would take somebody to reach, you know, like the small business, you know, co-ownership kind of thing that he does without doing college, you're right, that might take longer. But if he's again going to skip college altogether, but put him, really putting his best foot forward as far as the business thing goes, especially with kind of like the work ethic that his father has instilled in him. I believe that he would have to be his early 20s, because that's like in terms of again achieving that goal versus like the 4 years of college from like I guess 4 years or so of college. Like let's say maybe it feels like we shaved more 2 years off than like more years than what you're looking for. Like I say, let's say he gets at like at a high school like 18.
Right.
That's not,
right.
I don't know. I think it kind of makes sense, but only with the with the understanding that his father, if he were anyone else's son, would have to be later 20s. I don't mean to keep relying on the whole like Hank Hill is kind of like the X factor in a lot of this, but he kind of is.
He kind of is. He is in this show, yeah.
But still, though, it's nice to see Bobby happy. He's kind of doing what he loves, and we're not doing the usual stuff where like we're not having like Hank look down on his son because he didn't go to college or anything. He's proud of him. Well, we're gonna have a big episode that's gonna challenge that. I can't wait to get there. But you see what I mean?
If anything, Peggy's the one that's kind of down on him throughout a lot of the season.
Wait, really?
Well, just in the sense of like, oh, you're not visiting your mother. You're too busy with the restaurant.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. So he is also Bobby again with the maturity that he's got too. Again, being raised right, by his folks. He's doing great with the ladies, and
yeah, but I felt so bad for him when that girl was like, "Oh no, this is a one-time thing."
Yeah,
I don't know, Drag. That kind of stuff just bothers me because this girl.
Tiki, we need that to happen so Connie can re-enter the picture.
No, I get that. Look, I'm just saying from like a social point of view, okay, and maybe. Call me old-fashioned, all right? Call me old-fashioned. But to me, I don't even understand the logistics of, like, you're really into a guy, you're clicking with him on an intellectual level, you have a really good night with him, but no, I can't even have time for you at all. Maybe it's recency from shit I've been going through in my own life, Dragon. I don't know.
Oh, and Tiki, she just met him, man. They don't really know each other prior to, like, one evening in a restaurant, so...
I guess. I don't know. She was all over him, though. She was all over him. I guess, Dragon, I guess I just don't understand the mentality of a one-night stand. That's kind of what it comes down to. I just don't.
Well, I think we should save more of that for the whole, E&M thing, but we'll get there. Yeah, of course, it's kind of funny. He ends up butt dialing, Peg during relations, and he's just completely tone deaf to what's going on. All right, so of course, the point being, we have this to reunite him with Connie, who's just kind of walking by on campus there. Let's see. So Hank and Peggy, they consider returning to a Romco, and Romco desperately wants Hank, who's like the best propane man who ever lived, which I absolutely believe. I love the Lawrence of Arabia jokes so much. Where he goes again. We have a built-in expectation of, oh man, they're going to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
And of course, we go there and we're expecting tomes of like David Lean Desert, and reality. It's like it's this very 50s.
It's even more Americanized than like the Arlen that they left.
Exactly. It's it's just hilarious. It's basically to Arlen with servitude. Okay, so I want to talk about the scene that really just convinced me. I was liking the show, I was liking the episode, but then this moment happened that completely sold me. Okay, we are going to be so okay right now. The Heart and the Heartland charm of King of the Hill really came alive when they're contemplating going back because the world has changed so much. And they go to Megalomart, and before they enter Megalomart, Hank hates going to Megalomart, being on the inside, which we get to hilariously next episode. But the Girl Scouts outside selling cookies, and Hank's expecting pretty much. Again, I love this like thing where realistically, yeah, Girl Scouts sometimes they would probably charge you an arm and a leg, and they'd give you try to push all sorts of products. But this is sincere, like just old school Girl Scouts selling cookies for like $5 a box, $6 if you want the gluten that no one likes. And the gluten-free that no one likes. And he's asking, this is adorable to me, and it's held up so even better on the rewatch. They offer, hey, do you have any Samoas? Oh, no, we don't. Oh, wait, yeah, we do. They're called Caramel Delights in respect to the people from Samoa.
And it's like people who don't know Hank Hill as well as we do, Dragon, through the characterization. They might be like, "Oh boy, Hank's about to say something stupid."
No.
But no, it's like and this is exactly why what Hank is doing in the season. It's why we need Hank Hill.
Yes.
Responses like this.
Exactly.
Dragon Hank Hill should be like one of those like people like, oh, I don't know, like
what meme's going around, Tika, that's perfect. That
what?
honestly I think is like what people use, like Hank Hill setting the record straight kind of a thing. They have him later on, this like a screenshot of him holding the nads of the nads of truth. It's like people's holding up that image, him holding like the little clicker thing. It's like hey, I'm talking. It's Hank Hill setting the record straight, grabbing the world by the nads of truth.
Right.
Setting it straight. But no, seriously,
what I was going to say is like I think that Hank Hill would be a great person to like, basically do therapy for people who have fallen down the alt-right pipeline.
Yeah.
Like, now look, I know about conservatism. Trust me, I'm conservative myself. But that Trump guy, he ain't right.
But look, all in all, Hank Hill is basically what the model Texan should be. Let's be honest, okay?
I think he's what the model American should
Well,
be.
you're right. I'm just saying specifically but you're right, though. He's an American hero, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing of like, I can actually get behind that. Races that actually makes, it's like a change that actually makes sense to him. And we have this really adorable line that sums up, "It's nice to be nice." Which, yes, it is, little Girl Scout. Oh my God, yes, it is.
Yeah, that line in particular was great.
And then it gets better, Tiki. It's like the sense of community. They all come out and they have like a guy with like a power tool. He compliments the power tools. It's like, oh yeah, or those Samoas, they're actually called caramel caramel delights, and he offers him one, and they're getting talking like, so you doing hamburger? Oh yeah, I used to. You're a contract. Let me give you my number for a discount. And then he's selling them on the Modern Times and stuff, like a 20% discount. Oh, that's really nice. It's I love it. It's all coming together. It's clicking together. They can't. And then we have the big payoff where he gets the he bought the high-tech grill at the Megalo Mart after this encounter. And it had all these features, and we revealed he tossed all the bells and whistles in the trash, as I shouldn't have to call tech support to make a burger.
Which that I can very much sign off on, Dragon. That is like, hell yeah, Hank. You tell him what's up.
So just perfect. And then Bobby finally shows up, and all I can, since I'm a professional comedian, you think I'm letting you take over grilling. And we end on the yep. So our ending from that Megalo Mart to the end was like pitch perfect in every way. We're okay. Mike Judge nailed it, folks. Just enjoy the ride. Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so that leads us to episode 2, the beer story. I mean, right off the bat, we get one of the strongest episodes of the whole season, I think.
It's really good.
I mean, of course, you have. I think what I really love about this episode is just that contrast between father and son. And we're gonna get that again too in in the next episode, and that contrast is going to be even more pronounced. I
know. I thought we have a big one then.
Right. But I like this as kind of a warm up. But the one thing I really want to talk about with this episode, Dragon, that I feel like we have to bring up is one of the biggest laughs besides that fucking Boomhauer billboard that we'll get to. That was the biggest laugh of the season for me. But the second biggest laugh, Dragon, is Joseph shimmying into the plastic bag. I mean, that is like the best, like, that is absolutely what Yondu meant with the whole, like, he might be your father, boy, but he ain't your daddy. Like Joseph Gribble is very much Dale Gribble's son in that respect. You know what I mean? And I love the contrast. I love the scene where Joseph, Dragon, I got legitimately giddy when Joseph and Dale were sharing a cigarette. All right. Like, I got legitimately giddy.
But that's the thing, Tiki. It's a really great, thematically, it's a father-son bonding episode, so we're kind of seeing it from the unlikely source that we're kind of going into. We're focused on Bobby and Hank. In reality, we're seeing, this is what them actually taking the time to bond is. Just kind of falling into place by proxy of the other father-son competition.
Right, exactly.
But you're right, though. It's just them both attempting to bribe and or sabotage the competition.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Hank is grappling with boredom of retirement, which is kind of a runner through the season. Which, again, if we get another season, it'd be nice to see him kind of where he's going to go with that to fill his time. It's still kind of an ongoing crisis with him, kind of the midlife variety.
Mhm.
So yeah, he's he takes on a new hobby, home brewing, which of course I love like the impetus of like just megalomania. This to me was the most relatable joke of the season for me. Okay, I laughed so hard at just the it's like you go into like a Target or a Walmart or something, like the Megalomart employees are just like, they have to use their phones to like look up the inventory and
Yep, yep,
everything, and
yep.
it's the whole thing of like, where are the bath mats? Do we have bath mats? You're Megalomart, you have everything. Yes, you have. They're actually called bathroom mats.
Uh-huh.
That kind of like, yes, just they nailed that so perfectly. And anyway, so of course Hank he goes to home brewing because it needs propane.
Of course, naturally, naturally.
Yep. So it combines his passions, beer and propane. His two loves. And, well, Peggy fits in there somewhere, but probably not the number one spot. So, the father son bonding here of, like the son who likes to cook and of course, cook and create kind of culinary things. And, Hank with the necessity being the mother of invention via the propane home brewing.
Mhm.
So we see the generation gap here, that about beer telling a story. Hank just cannot get around the idea of that. A lot of it's so funny, TK. Like while I'm watching this, I have like the ads. Like the ads, I think one of the ads on this was like about like the a beer tells a story. It's like, oh my god, that's so appropriate right now. It's like the story, like this was brewed by like ancient
No, but
pirates or
beers telling
something.
stories, that is like a big buzzword dragging around beers these days. Like,
Yeah.
and so it is very accurate to the current beer culture.
Yeah, so we have some
Dragon, I'm curious, where do you stand? Do you like your beers fruity or do you like your beers traditional?
well, here's the thing. Okay, now mind you, I don't drink at all, so I can't really authentically answer this question. But on in Bobby's favor, I have always been in love with the idea of the chilled glass, but I never have the gumption enough to ask for the chilled glass for my ordinary drink.
Mm.
I love the chilled glass idea. I still think it's like a real. I know I'm gonna hate the sweat on the glass. I know I'm gonna hate that, but I just love the idea of like the glass being cold. But probably old. I'm probably on the Hank Hill side of it. I'm probably more old
Uh-huh.
traditional. The institutions.
All right, fair enough.
Look. I don't know. I don't drink. I can't. I can't. I don't have a good answer.
I don't drink
Maybe.
much, and I definitely don't enjoy beer, but I will say I hate the actual like taste of traditional beer. I hate hops. I do not like the taste of hops. So Dragon, fruit it up for me, man. Fruit it up for me.
I mean, look. Here's the thing. If
That's
you,
where I lean.
but it's the idea of mixing it with the alcohol, though. That's the thing. If it's just why don't if you get like like Bobby's not suggesting a fruity drink. He's suggesting like beer infused with the fruit. That's the difference.
I guess.
The other thing, if it was a lime drink, as a fancy lime drink, I would say yes. But if it's like I don't know, if it's just like a beer that it's like the whole it's like with the Cokes. You have like the Coke vanilla, Coke cherry, all the infused stuff. I'm not going to be crazy about that because I think it should taste like it's supposed to taste.
Okay, that is about the most Hank Hill thing you've ever said.
Yeah. Well, pretty much.
Coke is supposed to taste like Coke.
Truth in advertising, Tiki. I don't know. I like lime and I like Coke. I don't want the two to mix.
Oh God.
Anyway. Okay, so point being, so the father and son, they're kind of they're trying to bond over the opportunity of brewing together, but it becomes this like tension and competition within the ranks. They're having very different ideas of what goes into a quality beer, and like Hank's thinking very standard, very traditional, and Bobby's like saying, "Well, look, man, I know I
I mean,
spice things up for a
you
living."
you also get the vibe that like Alamo beer, like Hank might worship it, but it's probably like a lower grade, like probably like a generic grocery store brand beer. You know what I mean?
Yep, but Tiki, you gotta stand by your brand though. Again, it's Alamo. It's like for the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo.
Which, by the way, Pee Wee's Bike. They got it and they're displaying it for the anniversary.
Oh, really? Oh,
It's
that's
at the
awesome.
Alamo. I don't know if it's in the basement of the Alamo, Tiki, but it's at the
Well,
Alamo
it's
right
got to be
now.
at the basement, Dragon. If it's not in the basement, what are you doing?
No, but seriously, it's at the Alamo right now. They got it.
That's
They
awesome.
bought it in like an auction, and it's there for the anniversary.
Uh-huh.
All right. So let's see. So while this is going on, so Peggy, of course, the egomaniac that she wants, Peggy.
Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, just all the stuff with Peggy and the naming it. Oh, it's great. Honestly, Dragon, this might be my favorite Peggy episode, just full stop.
Yeah.
I think so. I think so. For me, I don't know. I just think it just gets her characterization down really well.
I have a
And kind of
nitpick.
like the fun parts of Peggy Hill.
Sure, I have a nitpick with the season overall. And this is not about Peggy Hill. It's just something Peggy Hill happens to do here is that we do a couple times in the show. Very rarely, though, but still, I don't like including the bleeps. The bleeps feel like,
Okay, I actually think the bleep in Peggy's case was fucking hilarious. I think they overdo them a little bit. I think it can have the capacity to take you out. But for me, the bleep specifically at the end of this episode, and we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on this, man. That was one of my biggest laughs of the whole season, honestly. Just because, like, to me, what I love about it is it kind of showcases a Peggy Hill who's still set in her own ways, who's still kind of a narcissist, but she doesn't give a fuck about like, about like being polite anymore, about pleasantries, Dragon. She doesn't give a fuck. She's this is retirement Peggy, and that's kind of what I love about that moment.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, it's kind of like it's kind of a rule breaking thing. We're in a weird place because we're on Hulu, we're able to go a little dirtier with like certain like verbiage. Like we're getting away with the whole the side piece thing. We're getting away with that.
Uh-huh.
And yet we still have a bleep, so it feels like we're kind of like half in, half out. Like okay, well, I mean, look, if we're gonna look
I
honestly.
will say I am a proponent for sometimes I think that having the bleep, especially if it's well timed, is almost funnier than actually hearing the word itself. I think in the case of the Peggy gag at the end of this episode, that's certainly the case for me personally.
I feel if that were like the only bleep in the season, then
that's fair. That you know what? That is fair.
That's
Fair.
what I'm
I
saying.
will
If
say
we
it
make
is the
it
most memorable bleep, and all the other bleeps, I'm kind of just like, okay, whatever.
That's what I'm saying, because it feels like we're redefining the rules versus, like, okay, if they're going to give Peggy Hill like a moment, that would be like, okay, we're giving her a bleep, which is going to make that hilarious. It's like the whole Gallivant thing, where it's like sometimes we add a bleep, it's like we shouldn't have bleeps at all in that show.
That I will sign off on for Gallivant, yes.
But you see what I mean? It's like sometimes we add a bleep, it makes you think about like, wait a minute, now we're bleeping, now we're not bleeping the other stuff, and yet, but again, we're playing by different rules. We're on Hulu. Why was it bleeped in the first? Anyway, you get the idea. Okay, so basically, the moral of the story here with the whole beer brewing thing is that the lesson is too many cooks spoils the beer. Essentially, where the alley gang get in on the process, and then the Wasana songs and I guess his drunken frat boy pals, they horn in on the action, and it just takes the fun out of it. So they make all these changes, and now they're in the competition with each other, and it really just takes the fun out of why the heck they did this in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the non-alcoholic beer gag with Luke.
Yeah, that's again one of my favorite gags of the whole season. I just or subplots, I should say. I really do like the fact that this episode is all about kind of like the father-son dynamics and how fathers influence their sons and vice versa.
Yeah.
And we have the A story with Hank and Bobby, and then we have the Dale and Joseph story, which is more on the wacky side, and then we have this story with Boomhauer, and I think it's genuinely kind of sweet.
Yeah.
It's funny, don't get me wrong, it is funny, but I don't know, I love Boomhauer just kind of put into these positions where he can't just be Mr. Joe Cool all the time, you know what I mean? He has to rein it back. I love the moral conundrum, like we don't really dwell on it, but Luke saying, like I just wanted to be cool like you, Boomhauer,
Yeah, it was really nice. All right, let's see. So, here's something what you were hinting at earlier, Tiki. So, Hank and Peggy, they try the microbrew to see if like there's any credence to what Bobby's saying about the fancy, about the fancy beer and everything, about beer telling a story and the zest and all that stuff. And I love that it really speaks to Hank's character that even after a little prodding, he's attempting change. He's giving it a shot before discounting. That's the difference between the man of the people of today and what Hank Hill could bring to the table. Like what, look, you should try walking a mile in the guy's shoes just to see if so you can make your own informed decision before he's instantly shut out like whatever the opposition is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was kind of nice. All right, okay. So point being, we have the we have the contest, and Stephen Root playing like yet another of Infinite Roles. It's like the competition judge, and what's your story? America, fresh cut. Well, you're not buying it, are you? Afraid not. Anyway, so again, Hank just nails it there. Hank just puts it on Front Street that he did this as a hobby with his son, and it's just. Doing it with his son, he's become basically just too proud to admit that his son does some things better.
Right. Yeah, Drag. I'm sorry, Drag. I'm just saying, like we're on episode 2 and it's an hour in. We need to.
Well, okay, fine. Why don't you take the lead then? Go on.
Okay. Episode 3, Bobby gets grilled, and I'm sorry, Drag. I wasn't expecting you to go like in so much detail on these episodes. All right, I'm sorry. Okay, so I mean, we obviously in this episode we get the big propane conflict of the season. We knew it was going to happen, especially with these sort of hibachi grill situations. They are very traditionally done with charcoal, so. It is great. We get the White House, or not the White House, but the George Bush Museum stuff. That was kind of we teased a little bit of it in the marketing. So
yeah.
So all around, very fun episode.
Yeah, I mean, I do. This to me was like one of the big crux of the season. We knew this was coming at some point. We knew we had to have Bobby
I also love that this is once again with the whole like Bobby becoming his father sort of thing. I love that this is very much a situation that Hank Hill would be put into in the original series. The cultural appreciation thing. The whole like Hank Hill would get in hot water for sticking to his morals and sticking to his ground. And Bobby is in that exact same situation here.
Yeah. So again, this was like the big anticipated story point. We knew at some point. I'm pretty sure you hypothesized at some point we were going to have like Bobby will not use propane. That's going to really send Hank off the deep end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I love that we did that here. It's a real thing of like it's like stabbing his father in the back, and I love the conversation we had on the phone. Like those are some of the best times we ever had.
I do genuinely feel bad for Hank in those moments. That's the thing. It's like you do kind of see both sides of it.
Yeah. But I love that Bobby, again, like you said, he's taking Page as but he's standing his ground. He made a very conscious but well thought out decision to not use propane so he can be authentic to Rabada and make it the best he could. Mm-hmm. And so every meal I ever fed you was wrong. It's just heartbreaking the way he says that.
Oh God.
So I love the dilemmas we're putting Bobby through here. Again, he's kind of breaking his father's heart with that, and also you have the shortage of basically the wood charcoal thing, like the biconta and whatever, basically the black charcoal logs.
Let's talk about the MVP new character. I think you can agree here. Emilio.
Emilio is fantastic.
I love Emilio as a character. I love the fact that like he's older than Bobby, he knows more than Bobby, but at the same time he's respectful of the fact that Bobby is the owner. And there is that kind of dynamic there between the two of them. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this sort of dynamic grow in the future.
Yeah, we had Emilio really going to give Bobby a pep talk there. He's been worked a lot of restaurants and sees that he really cares. But Anyway, so overall though, it's just great, the whole cultural appropriation thing. So basically, it's like the show dealing with cancel culture in a really interesting way. Which, God, remember, this show did have to bump up against a little bit of that because of all the recastings and stuff, because of the whole PC voice acting thing of like we have to get people of the actual nationalities. do the voices of certain characters, which
Yeah,
is
we'll get into that in a
yeah.
few episodes.
I'm
So the
not
point
quite
being,
sure that turned out great, but we'll get into it.
well, at the end of the day, this was kind of like kind of a fun, subtle call out of that, but via in general, like
Honestly,
being
Dragon,
canceled over the.
if the show was lazy, the whole fucking season would have been nothing but cancel culture bullshit.
Yeah, and it's not. It's like very specifically with the whole fusion restaurant. It would be a ridiculous thing, and Bobby at some point would probably have to combat. And we do have the hilarious thing. So we have Phil Lamar as Mr. Yoshida, who basically is an adopted black man raised by a Japanese couple in Japan. So he's technically Japanese.
But essentially, what I love about this character is, like, on some level, by pure dictionary definition of the word, this man's whole identity is cultural appropriation.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The irony, the blind irony is just hysterical.
Right.
Throughout this, you have that, and of course Joseph as well is having no idea. Like, I'm the only white.
Oh my god! Oh, Joseph, that line about being the only white guy. Oh, can I just say I like Joseph more in this show than I ever, or in this season than I ever did in the original run. I just think he's got more laughs. Like, I don't know, like. For me, it's never that I dislike Joseph in the original show, because I didn't dislike
Joseph
him.
was often a tag along. That's very much
right. Like, and we did do that thing with Joseph where, it was very rare for animated characters where we actually age him up. We switch the voice actor when he hits puberty.
Mm-hmm.
So Joseph he was kind of a cutting edge character in that regard, but I feel like with Joseph, he only had one of two modes. He was either Bobby's sidekick, or he kind of existed to add tension to the Nancy John Redcorn situation. That was basically Joseph's two modes. And I feel like just in the 10 episodes that we get, and he's not even in the first episode, I feel like he's just a much more fully fleshed out character in its own right. And again, I love the fact that he is so obviously Dale Gribble's son in every respect.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So, yes, of course, at the Bush
John Kelly Joseph wishes he was a himbo, all right? He wishes he was a himbo, and that's what makes him funny.
Bobby's getting all the girls, not Joe. Anyway, so we're at the Bush library, and they have Jack and Brayers as the tour guide and everything, and the idea
that's a great little like one episode cameo right there.
Yep. We have basically, Hank. They're doing like a role play kind of thing, and Hank has become president, and Dale is just upsurping everything with all these stupid conspiracy theories that are just tearing down.
Is kind of like this episode does kind of lay out that thesis of like, see, like you right wing conservatives, like you're not Hank Hill, you're Dale Gribble, all right? There's a difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I love that. Ultimately, this basically really gave Hank perspective and appreciation for like being authentic to history and tradition after seeing kind of what he's up against and how people will easily be misled. And that's kind of like what the underpinning of that Dale thing is, which is very relevant to today. People being misled by just the guy with the loudest voice on the internet, essentially.
Do you want to talk about the voice acting thing with Dale?
Do you walk him through it?
Yeah, so it's honestly kind of it's a little bit confusing how they do it. Not confusing, but a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say messy, Dragon, so I'll use the word muddy to appease Paige Novak. Because like basically like throughout the first half of the season, we're mixing in Johnny Hardwick's last performances, but we also get a little bit of Toby Huss here and there. And so, Dragon, I really think Dale comes alive. Obviously, due respect to Johnny Hardwick, we wish it was him the whole time, obviously. But I do think that when Toby Huss is able to fully step into the character, that's when the character really feels like, yeah, okay, like Toby Huss has taken it over. It's in good hands. All right. I do feel like it's a little bit distracting to have both of the voice actors in the same episode.
Well, I'll agree with you there, but a lot of that's happened. He has to do pickups. They have to finish out the scene.
Right, and it's like, and obviously we don't want to just throw away the last Johnny Hardwick performances, so it's like kind of a rock and a hard place sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel basically it's hard for me to tell because of the way they did it, mind you, because it's really hard for me to like decipher, who's who, but I mean, maybe that's to its benefit or detriment. I'm not sure, but I mean, there's like a slight difference, and you're right. I mean, I can tell like there's a lot. I don't know where Toby Huss starts a season and where Johnny Harwick starts a season. That's why I'm having a hard time getting a baseline to know who is who. But it's not really the point. It's just that it's an older Dale Gribble, so there's an age to Johnny Hardwick's voice, and then Toby Huss, he's matching that age.
That older thing is going to be the big problem with Khan when we get to Khan.
Well, sure. But you see what I mean, though, in terms of like the aging the voice up kind of helps disguise it a little bit. But
Sure.
by that token, either Dale sounds a little off, but that's because he's older, and you can't. Maybe it's because also Hardwick was sick. Is that how he died? Or?
I'm honestly not entirely sure.
Well, the point being is like we're kind of dealing with a little bit. So Dale sounded off, but not. It's kind of hard to decipher if like who was maybe the better performance, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyways. The point being, Bobby, he serves the last. He puts up one meal all on the line, invites all the detractors to the meal to move hearts and minds.
Can we just really quickly point out the fucking Italian stereotypes?
I don't think we have time, Tiki.
Fair enough.
Okay, look, he's ticking off all the stereotypes. He's Bobby can't win. We have like basically our very Sopranos.
The Sopranos is the reason I canceled HBO.
God.
All right.
So,
this panel of like overly concerned fucking snowflake restaurateurs, it's so out of the original show, right?
Yeah.
It so feels like something that Hank Hill would have to go up against.
But this is such a great resolution. We sit everyone down, including his father, who'd be the hardest one to impress, given the whole propane, kind of betrayal. And I love that, Hank, he tries the food, he likes the food, and he sees that everyone else is just really enjoying the food. So, like, Hank has a moment of growth here. Like, deep down, he knows, like, okay, look, I'm not going to begrudge my son for not just using the thing my whole life has been centered around. It's just propane at the end of the day. But of course, it is propane. It is the end all be all. But he can't begrudge what his son's doing. But the way he phrases it, I love that he basically says, it's more important is like the meal that you made here. However, I love the proviso, the loophole, the perfect loophole is that yet Bobby being authentic to himself, but at the same time, propane wasn't invented in the 17th century, so it would be inauthentic to have propane. Says, yeah, sure, Dad.
right.
It's just the whole. It would be inauthentic to have it, as well as the whole but had they had access to propane, they absolutely would have used it.
It's a great King of the Hill like loophole resolution.
I was so dazzled by that. I was like, yes.
All right. Okay, so let's move on. Episode 4. Chore money, chore problems. All right, another great Boomhauer episode.
Oh yeah.
I just love how Boomhauer is just like, he knows that Hank is going to fuck this up, but he's too good of a friend to say no. It's like we don't even get a ton of screen time with Boomhauer. I feel like he's a little bit more prominent in this season than he was in the original series, but not by that much. But I feel like we get so much more characterization from every moment he is on screen. You know what I mean?
Now
like there's actually like a heart to the mumble mouth this time around.
Right. Like Boomhauer's providing a service for people, and he's really helping them out with the advice that he's giving.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this kind of goes like this is kind of a more emotionally mature Boomhauer we've ever seen before, with that hug that he greeted Hank with, and the thing with the stepson.
Exactly, yeah.
Now though, had this been an early King of the Hill episode, it would have been a thing. It would have been like a plot reveal of like Boomhauer. He's helping out all women with these home repairs, and it would have been a thing where Hank says, "Oh no, Boomhauer, let me help you." I think it would be realized they're trying to seduce him or something. They're expecting like
You know what? Yeah, you're right. In early King of the Hill, that would have absolutely been the case.
It would have been like a you don't mess with the Zohan kind of a thing where they're expecting, like a like a sexual favor or something. And Hank's like, why are they rating me so low? What did I not do?
Okay, John Kelly actually brings up a pretty good point. He says, I wonder if Boomhauer is still a Texas Ranger. We get that one detail, like right at the end of the series, I believe, where we see his badge.
Yes.
I'd like to think he still is, but maybe he's retired, though, because since he is taking on this like the handyman app, and he also like in the season finale, he's got a business venture. So I'd like to think that Boomhauer is retired, but I do like the the Texas Ranger thing. I kind of wish that they would lead into that a little bit more, if not in the current state of his character. I do want to explore that a little bit going forward, like in his past. I don't know how they do it in a current plot line, but all right.
Okay, let's see. So, all right, yeah. So we have the chore chimp app in which Boomhauer's ordering some extra cash with you doing chores and everything, and Hank is looking for a desperate escape from the house to be with Peggy in the retirement years. So he basically assists him on the job and he ends up taking on the workload. But Hank hates sharing. He cannot. Hate sharing. These people are we have like a couple that are have a newborn and they're kind of struggling with it. And Hank just he's not picking up on the social cues. And maybe you should say something to give the young couple a little word of advice, Hank. And he's just like, so the thing about this curtain rod is it has an interlocking section here. And this is what makes it adjustable.
Hank Hill, autistic king. I'm kidding. Honestly, Dragon, I'm getting a little bit sick of like, hey, all animated characters are autistic.
Yeah.
Fry from Futurama is autistic. That's one that I saw recently that kind of pissed me off, Dragon.
Well, Tiki, you started that. Started that trend.
Yeah. I also started Armchair Imagineering, but no one gives me credit for that.
Did you though?
I feel like I had a hand in it. But that would require a whole podcast to explain. But
like an elbow in it, but All right. I'm saying armchair. It's an arm. Anyway.
Look, I'm saying I was a part of one of the first online communities, like Disney fan communities, that was actively doing like big projects in regards to like Armchair Imagineering.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right. No, that's meant literally like an arm for the pun, Tiki. But okay, so let's see. So point being, Hank, he's flummoxed by why did I get such a low rating? I did the job just as I was asked, and Peggy spells it out for him. So this is nice. I love the Tao of Hank Hill. He goes back. He's going to do free work for him because he wants them to be completely satisfied. And he does a bit of a share here. He sees that like the baby's having trouble latching, and he relates Peggy's experience with Bobby. And to Hank's chagrin, this couple are YouTubers, and they out everything he said and Peggy and everything, and he's in hot water now. But not for the reason you think, which was refreshing, because I was going to think I was ready to jump on the episode of like, Peggy, you cannot be upset at Hank for talking about your UTI after you embarrassed him on the plane like that earlier. But she didn't. She was upset that he can't open up about his own experiences.
Yeah, but he's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place there a little bit.
That's true. Yeah, he was in the room during that, so it's kind of his experience. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So, okay. So, Connie, she has got chemistry with Bobby this episode. These two crazy kids are kind of slowly but surely getting together, but she's not picking up on it. She tries setting Bobby up with her friend, who seems really nice.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like it's such an awkward situation because it's like she seems nice, but if there's not chemistry, there's not chemistry.
Oh no, they had chemistry, but not like she's not Connie. That's the difference.
Right, yeah. But I don't know. Did they have chemistry though, Dragon? It's like they were pleasant enough with each other, but it's like, but you're right though. Connie is the chemistry there, like, and it is very tone deaf, but in a kind of a realistic way though.
She seemed into Bobby, and Bobby's kind of nice with everybody, so I don't know. There's chemistry enough, maybe.
She seemed into Bobby. I'm just saying she's not really Bobby's type. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so, Hank ultimately kind of does a little bit of we have the bedroom scene with Hank and Peggy where he kind of accidentally shares, and it kind of like, it's a nice moment. He kind of shares his insecurities about retirement,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we got episode 5, New Reffin Town. So, like, once again, Hank Hill kind of being a parasite to Boomhauer's extracurricular stuff, which is funny.
Like Hank secretly become Bill, and that's what episode 6 is all about.
Right.
So Hank, let's see. So Hank appreciates soccer now, thanks to his time in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. Yep. And it's a dirty little secret that he keeps from his football loving friends. They like American football, not English football. Well, I guess Saudi Arabian football too, but I don't know. The point being,
it's literally football in every country except America.
Well, really, every country is not. Okay, I knew.
I'm not sure every single country, but most of them, as far as I know.
Okay, well, I guess Saudi Arabia and and then the UK is football.
It's Saudi Arabia, Dragon. You have to have the hard I.
Saudi Arabia. Okay, so this is a Big Dale episode where he thinks Hank is turned into a spy in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after hearing him and Peg talking over the bug Tupperware that was in the sink. By the way, I love that we had Dale giving props, they haven't brainwashed us despite the best efforts of Ted Lasso and
I do love the lip service to Ted Lasso. That was funny.
And the Canadian mercenary Deadpool. So this is
to feel having Deadpool name dropped in the King of the Hill episode.
I was very happy. Referencing two great shows, and of course, the reason you're probably wondering why the heck is Dale talking about Deadpool? Well, it's because Ryan Reynolds is the Wrexham team. That's why. That's kind of that's what the reference there.
Right. I got that. I understood that reference.
Yeah. Anyway, so just really, but I love Ted Lasso would be the emissary for trying to get America to really go for the whole the English football of it all, though. Anyway, so Boomhauer quits as ref. Hank goes in, and it's basically this dirty little secret he's keeping, which basically makes him a bad boy.
I mean, as we see from Win or Lose, Dragon, being a ref especially with this age of kids, it's it's dangerous. It's hot water.
Mm-hmm. Also lands you babes at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, especially mom babes. With Vanessa and now Peggy Hill.
I'd like to think that this is how how Boomhauer met Luke's mom.
It would not surprise me.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's see. So Bobby tries buying a car without his mother's help this episode. And I love that, he did the research. Like his father, he did the research. He put in the hard work. He makes a very earnest plea. And ultimately, he kind of wins the day, seemingly.
He goes in, and it's I love how firm he is about it. He's look, this is my price. I'm willing to pay. I'm not going to have any sort of, any sort of sweet talk. But no. This guy, he's all over. I love how fucking manipulative this whole thing is.
Now, if memory serves, he does get the car, but he's also saddled with the horse. Is that right?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure he just got the horse.
Well, why would he just get the horse?
Wrong about that.
How was he just getting the horse?
I don't know.
He didn't buy the horse. He was given the horse, but the idea is that Bronco Barry, who was Stephen Root yet again. Bronco Barry, he's playing dirty pool. He basically unloads a horse because he doesn't want to pay the funerary expenses for, or feeding it or anything. They're taking it to the vet and everything. So basically, he saddles Bobby with the hard task of what to do about this horse, which he can't store anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That was his FU for get the perfect car price. So I presume Bobby also got the car, but I don't know.
Do we see the car?
Well, that's why I'm asking. We don't see the car.
Okay, well, I don't know either.
I don't know. I know. I'm just saying to the episode. Why don't we know these things? Anyway, so John Redcorn saves the day.
Which I love that. I love that as a solution. I especially love the, because we see the clip of John Redcorn and Joseph riding the horses together in the trailer. And I love that just comes out of like a very earnest, innocent little fantasy that John Redcorn has about, about bonding. And of course, Dragon, Jonathan Joss, every time that John Redcorn's on screen, Dragon, I got a little bit sentimental and sad about the Jonathan Joss situation. I'm not going to lie to you.
We have roughly like 4 scenes or 4 episodes with him, and we really make the most out of it. And him,
we do, yeah.
That the Joseph moment was a great moment for like him, the father, which is always like a nice like kind of like the pain of John Redcorn that he'll never be able to really kind of. It takes a lot for him to get excuses so he can bond with his son, despite him wanting to. And the end, which we'll get to, the end was like the perfect note to end on with Redcorn, but we'll,
Sure.
Anyway, but you're right though. It's it's kind of a reminder. So John Redcorn saves the day. Says, if you two knuckleheads come down, well, Bobby's smart enough to know. He probably figured out in the years that went on. Says, you know what? I think I'm done with horses. You and Joseph should totally do
that. Exactly.
Okay, so the Dale of it all. So Dale, he chloroformed Hank, and he's about to inject him with homemade sodium pentothal, which, as we demonstrate with Bill, is not going to end well for Hank. So I was worried. He's like, oh, God, the tension. But Hank just, like, playing into it with Dale and getting him to, like, think he's a double agent. Everything was great. Yeah. And the game gets ruined, but no one cares. Because forget it, Hank. It's Texas.
Yeah. All right. Good episode all around.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, let's get into the one Bill episode that we have this season. Peggy's Fade Out. Now, I will say, Dragon, I like the start of this episode. I like the setup. I like the fact that, like, we are still going with Bill's roots as a barber. I like that we're following up on that. I do think it's funny that we essentially have a play on the 2000s barbershop movie, with the black barbershop, like, and that Bill's bonded with all of them. I think my main issue with this episode is that I kind of feel like with the lie, it almost kind of like stretches, like, it stretches the line of believability a bit that Bill would be this bold about it.
Yeah,
because it's like, obviously Bill is in love with Peggy, but would he? And maybe I would even buy that he would do this with his friends. It's just that he expects Hank to just go along with it. That's kind of
you're right. That is the buy. The construction of the lie. I mean, Hank wasn't around, and he didn't think he was ever coming back.
Right.
So it makes sense. If you thought he can get away with it, that would probably be it. But you're right, though. The fact that he would think he'd be somehow, well, again, he didn't expect Hank to show up. So that was him, like, thinking on the fly on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the idea that, I like the idea that it's a black barbershop because it makes sense, Bill being the barber that he is. And it would make sense that perhaps, the Keith David character maybe hooked him up with these guys, perhaps. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, we were just the idea that Bill made himself out to be Hank, and the fact that he made Hank out to be the sad, pathetic Bill lifestyle. That's
something that I would not. I think is a little out of character for Bill, because, like, as much as Bill does have that creepy obsession with Peggy, he still respects Hank. You know what I mean? He still views Hank as a good friend.
It felt a little dirty. It felt a little dirty pull.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So this episode, the other thing that's kind of unpopular, this is the divisive thing a lot of people have with this episode too. A lot of people turned on Connie this season because of this episode.
Really?
This was the ENM thing, the ethical non.
Well, I mean, look, for me, I'm a very old-fashioned guy. I could not imagine a relationship like this, and frankly, I think I am a little bit cynical about it. Like, when I hear about, like, open relationships, I just think, like, yeah, that's probably just the woman, like, wanting to date other guys and having an ethical reason to do it. But, again, I'm not trying to slut shame. I'm really not. But I don't know. I think it makes sense for Connie as a character because she's always been kind of progressive. Honestly, Dragon, I feel like it makes sense specifically because of her parents. You know what I mean?
Well,
because
why?
it's like, think about it. Her parents are so old-fashioned that she would want to rebel against that. Like, I almost kind of feel like that's one of the main reasons why she's doing it, honestly.
That's actually a good. Okay, I didn't consider that. So you might be on some there. The whole like them bump, especially with the divorce and everything. That might
Exactly, yeah,
I didn't factor that in.
she sees how destructive, just the whole idea of like being devoted to one person, and then if that doesn't work out, then you're kind of fucked. Like she has witnessed that firsthand. You know what I mean? So honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I don't agree with it as far as like, I wouldn't want to be in one of those relationships myself, but I think for Connie, it makes a lot of sense.
So look, here's the thing. I'm with you with the old fashioned sensibility there. I never subscribed to it. I don't really get it. The whole like not putting labels on it. I don't know. Regardless, I think it was a smart move that we had Willow at least voicing that sect of the audience. They basically kind of called her out a little bit on this, and I think that kind of helped humanize it. And here's the thing: we, the audience, we're identifying with Bobby. We're rooting for Bobby to get together with Connie. He's liked her for many years. We've had some respectful distance. We never forced Bobby and Connie, but for a while we had them together, and they were kind of apart, but still friends. So there's always been that with them. But you're still at this point, though, we're seeing that she's really paired up with a really crappy guy in Chan Wasana-song. The guy's terrible. He's a terrible, stupid frat boy. And the idea that she would, like, essentially, she's in the ethical, non-monogamy relationship with him, though, as in, like, even though they're, like, able to see other people, it's like, still, she's saddled with that guy, though. And he's, like, and later on, he's still inserting himself into the family dynamic. So it feels like the way people, I think, are seeing it is that, like, Bobby's he's taking a lot of the brunt of, like, it hurts Bobby to see that basically we're taking things away from Bobby here with kind of what he's after with Connie there. It kind of feels like, man, Bobby's like bending over backwards to really kind of like make Connie happy, and Connie's just not really paying. That's kind of on the surface what it would look like, and I think it's what a lot of people have been jumping down the episode for with Connie's like, man, Connie's really not,
But I mean, she's been in this relationship since before Bobby resurfaced, so you can't blame her.
Yeah, but again, yes. No, you're right about. Well, then wait a minute. Well, Bobby, that's the thing. Bobby, it's a question of how soon this started because with Wasana-song, you imagine he would bring her around the restaurant at some point, right?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to just because he knows there's a history between Bobby and Connie.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Shane is like, let's face it, Dragon. Shane is not invested in the restaurant at all whatsoever. Like, to him, it's basically just like a money-making opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The point being, a lot of people look at it as it's the non-committal thing. It's maybe a little shallow on Connie's part. I think there's an argument. You're right, Tiki. I think there is an argument to be made. But, I think it's nice that we call it out, though. I think some people need to ease up on the Connie hate because of that. Because, it's like there's a perspective being argued there. And ultimately, she comes around. I don't know. I think it all worked out, so I'm fine.
All right. Okay, next up we have Any Given Hill Day. So,
Wait.
Sorry.
We also got to mention we killed off Peggy Hill. We should probably talk about that.
You're right.
It's also the episode title. So,
I will say that Bill having that as the solution to his problem, that is in character. That is some stupid bullshit that Bill would come up with.
So it's just
of course that's going to make everything easier, Bill, obviously.
Well, Peg's feeling unsatisfied in retirement, which is in the through line of the season. She's like, she entertains maybe going down there and pretending to be his wife, but then like the icky idea of like kissing him, it's like okay,
right.
Well, no part of this. But then she her ego boost is from the funeral of like, oh man, at least somebody getting emotional over and glowing about me. All right. Appointment 6, not a fantastic episode. All right, moving on
it's
to
not
a good
bad by any means. I feel like all these episodes are at the very least baseline good.
Yeah. This is not bad. I'm just saying, like comparatively,
Yeah. All right. Any Given Hill Day, Dragon. For me, I really do love all the Bobby and Hank. Bonding episodes. Bobby and Hill. Bobby and Hill. That sounds like the name of like a lawyer fucking firm or something.
Well, remember he loved Benny Hill, so it's kind of Bobby's obsession realized.
If Bobby started a comedy club, that would totally be
Bobby as a kid. He's like, Dad, no, Bobby, we are not related to Benny Hill. Stop asking.
Oh, by the way, I forget when exactly it takes place, but I love the Mel Blanc conversation.
Yeah, no, that was in the episode 3 when they're talking about the
that's
whole
what I thought.
cultural
Yeah.
appropriation of
I
Speedy
love
Gonzalez.
that just because, like, first of all, it is a really good point. And then also, I love that it's like we don't get that much reference to Bobby being a comedian, but like that alone just shows you that the kid still cares a lot about comedy and the history of comedy.
Oh, we also had the whole King of the Grill thing.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick stuff, but that's like kind of their meta call out. Now, according to John Kelly in the comments, he seems pretty sure that we're getting season 15, which is good if that's the case.
I'd be shocked if we didn't get season 15, honestly.
Well, based on the performance,
this is going over so well, yeah.
Based on the performance, now I wonder if maybe their season pickup is like for 20 episodes, which they split across two seasons, which is possible. I don't know if that's what happened, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard Jonathan Joss was able to record 4 episodes, and we saw him pop up in at least 3. So I don't know if that means the material that would fill 4 episodes, or if just like literally he's got one more episode in 15. I don't know. But
the fact that we also do like an in memoriam for him at the end, I mean, I guess we would have to do that regardless. But like, I believe they saved the in memoriam for Johnny Hardwick on the episode that has the last of his vocal performance.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point being, this King of the Grill thing, it really feels like we got to pay off next season if there is a season 15, because it feels very much we just kind of threw it in there. It's the meta joke of like, it's the show on Fox that got canceled 15 years ago foolishly, and then has been brought back recently. So it is our call out, and this feels very much like we just kind of completely forgot about it. So I really hope we pay this off. Him actually becoming King of the Grill is like the pun on King of the Hill.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, just want to throw that out there. Okay, so
we should probably talk Willow.
Yes, we should. So Willow was.
I'm not going to lie. Willow is probably one of my least favorite elements of this whole season, and I'm glad she's not in a ton of it.
Well, there's only two episodes.
Yeah, but I do not like her character.
Is it because of what she?
Yes, by and large, yes, Dragon. By and large, yes. Look, I do. Okay, in this episode, I will admit, just to give her some credit, because that was a terrible last impression to have of this character. All right, it was. But to give her some credit here, I do love the middle of the episode where Hank is genuinely bonding with her more than Bobby. I love that tension. I think it makes a lot of sense that Hank would be like, a woman on the football field, what is this? And then he sees her in action and just instantly is like enamored by it.
I mean, I like Willow from a plot perspective, what she offers this episode with what you're talking about there. I like that, she kind of offers.
I feel like she just kind of exists just to give Bobby something to do until the Connie stuff gets resolved,
But the fact that you're right, T, we do that. We only keep it to one episode though, just so we can get him over that hump, so we don't make the whole like, hey, he's just back with Connie instantly. We do have to show that he's a bump in the road, and that he's giving Connie a bit of a taste of a message. Well, I'm with somebody while you're kind of like seeing everybody, and that's okay. And they have the nice bit of like just invites her to be part of the friend group for a bit there. So at the end of the episode, it's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so but I love a lot of this. I love so much of this episode. I love the whole like one of the regulars that basically is identical to Hank Hill in terms of his methodology. Dies, and we have the gag of like the food didn't kill him. He's making that very clear at the funeral. And this again, I like the pathos of like. Which again, I live for King of the Hill when they do pathos. That Bobby wants to do something to show his father they appreciates him, but they're Texans, so they can't say "I love you."
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a gesture. So and we learned about Hank Hill's Tony Romo fanfic, where Hank and Tony Romo solve mysteries together with a dog that knows karate.
Oh man,
which is hysterical. So anyway, Willow scores Hank and Bobby fantasy football camp tickets, and it's unfortunately she's going with them. So we have a lot of culture clash. Really, she's a vegan, she's a girl, she's playing football, and there's a lot of
the vegan.
Yes, the vegan. Let's see. Meanwhile, before we check back in with that, so Peggy, she's got the book nook, which was kind of an adorable idea, which I think was horribly wrong.
And this is like, I was not crazy about this subplot, honestly.
Well,
you're right. It's a cute idea. I just think that it went in kind of like a weird, extreme direction.
but again, that's the double-edged sword of Peggy Hills. That sometimes
Although I do like Peggy and Dale having an episode like that. That is a fun pairing. I will say that.
Yeah, them again, two most untrustworthy, most unreliable characters in the show to a degree.
Exactly. Right.
Of course, instantly Dale throws under those. It was all our idea. Just runs away. Yep. Honestly, I really feel we just kind of wrote ourselves into a bit of a corner with the Peggy. We didn't have a good out for the Peggy Hill thing because we burned all the books and we had just like the whole, I like the internet responding to the book burning thing. I thought that was kind of funny. All right, let's see. So I love that. Hank he's having such a they do the fantasy football for the Dallas Cowboys, which he's obsessed with. It's like his football team, and the idea that he's on sacred ground, and he doesn't even care if he wins.
He genuinely thinks that talking to the quarterback or whatever could like turn it around for them by giving him one piece of advice.
Yeah. But I love that he doesn't care about winning initially, where it's just this thing of like he's on sacred ground. I put my underwear in a locker with my name on it. Nothing can ruin this for me, Bobby. And then of course the girlfriend sees him naked, so that puts a damper on rather instantly. And then you're thinking, okay, so but I love the subversion, Tiki, with the structure of this episode. We're thinking, okay, we have a very Curb Your Enthusiasm moment with that. Like, okay, that's going to ruin it for Hank. He's not going to be able to get past that. But then we subvert that. She's excellent at playing football because of her dad, and there's some bonding there, which is taken away from the father-son story. And Bobby has this really nice. Willow offers Bobby some really good advice, like, hey, you should talk to your father while he can respond to you.
Right.
And then we have the big act break joke. Just after this lovely, genuine sentiment, father and son are gonna go into was it Jerry? Is it Jerry Jones? Something Jones?
I don't
know.
No,
It is Jerry Jones. I don't know why Dad. It's Jerry Jones. So they go into his office, and Willow is exacting revenge on Jerry Jones's photo on the desk there. I just love the gag of just like Hank Hill's reaction. It's just the shock, and I was with it. It was the shock of, oh my God, are we really doing this?
To me, Dragon, it was just too much of a gross out.
You're right. The sound effect is. I was more. It's like the comedy of the shock that we went that far. To me, honestly, it's like, oh my God, and just the after humor. Honestly, I think it's what kind of saved it a little for me. Just like, Hank saying, "Son, if you break up with her, I would say do it carefully." But I don't know. I think despite that we went really far on that, I think we bought it back, and there was a respectable breakup and kind of an end to the relationship, and like Hank giving Bobby kind of pseudo props for like, you basically, in not so many words, you should go after Connie, Bobby. You should go after what you want in life, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it all worked out, even if it went a very unusual and kind of hilariously shocking path.
Fair enough. All right. Okay. So 8, conscious uncoupling. So I honestly, I understand why Toby Huss is not in this role anymore. Toby Huss agrees with the sentiment. That being said, Dragon, my problem with this new voice actor is simply that he sounds too young. Like, this sounds like how Khan would sound in a prequel show, not a sequel show. Does that make sense, or am I just totally off mark?
Honestly, I didn't really hear like that. I don't think he sounded too young. He sounded a little slight. I'm looking at slight difference, and I am younger though. So maybe you might not be wrong, Teague, but definitely sounds like a younger guy doing a Khan voice. You're right about that.
And of course, the voice actor is definitely like Toby Huss is.
Yeah.
He's not he's not ancient, but he is on the older side of things.
Well, you're only adding 8 years to these characters. Not super old, but like in his 50s. Like a late 50s.
Right. I don't know. Honestly, this episode, it's not a bad episode, but it's another one that it doesn't leave that much of an impression for me.
Okay, a couple things. Okay, one, just overall with the voice acting thing again. I understand we got to be we should, to a degree, we should be PC, but it's like by the same token, we have all the great voice
actors. The fact that Khan only pops up in this one episode is kind of testament to like, I think the show itself knows that it's a little off.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. In general, it always felt like
I think it's definitely more distracting than the Dale change. I'll say that much.
Sure. Anyway, because again, they kind of we built up the Khan too. That was the thing where we had Min. Of course, Min's always going to be Lauren Tom. That was going to that was very appropriate casting. And again, the whole thing with King of the Hill is that they used a limited cast, so there's people doing many voices. So that's why you kind of have that wasn't like. Plus, it was just the way it was done back then. It wasn't wrong what was done back then necessarily, because it's just they have voice actors who are talents in the industry traditionally who do many voices. And that's how it works. Like Phil Lamar.
We already made the point with Mel Blanc.
Yeah, with Mel Blanc and like Phil Lamar, there's multiple nationalities.
Gonzalez, he's a hero. Which, by the way, Drag, that is entirely accurate to the Hispanic community. The Hispanic community loves Speedy Gonzalez. Liberal white people hate Speedy Gonzalez. Who's more in the right?
I mean, Speedy Gonzalez essentially is kind of the Flash for kids.
Exactly.
Anyway. Okay, well, man, with the episode itself, though, here's the thing. Khan is insufferable as ever, as he is wont to be. It's one of those episodes where I'm not thrilled about it because it's like, Hank won't abide Peggy lying. He grounds like the whole exaggeration that she does. I'm on Hank's side, and I don't like basically approving what she's. I don't like vindicating Peggy for like, okay, so Hank lied to her because Khan begged him and pleaded him pathetically to keep this secret, and I don't want to I hate like saying like, oh, Hank, so it's double sided. Well, no, Peggy's a huge blabbermouth. That's why he didn't tell her, because that would give away the secret.
Sure, yeah.
So because it's like begrudging Hank for not trusting somebody who cannot be trusted. That to me didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of thing with King, and sometimes I bump up with that with King of the Hill, and that's part of the course. And we kept that kind of stuff to a minimum, which I appreciated, but it happens. I love with the recent episode we covered, Tiki. I love Hank uses the nail gun as protection, as a bit of a nod.
I was definitely thinking about the nail gun bit from the Christmas episode.
Yeah,
yes, that definitely came to mind.
That was a really sweet, subtle little touch there.
Oh, by the way, we should bring up some of the cameos, or not cameos, but Easter eggs. John Kelly brought one of them up way earlier with the whole like, you mean he was one of the fitting men?
Yep,
that was great. That was great. There's a really, really good one coming up in the finale that I loved.
Oh yeah. All right, let's see. So Bobby caters the sham 30th anniversary. We basically reveal Khan and Min got divorced like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they've kept up appearances because, and this, I think this is based on kind of a real thing. Like honestly, I think with a lot of Asian.
But again, Dragon, I think it makes a lot of sense that Connie would want to go the other way here, just seeing how this unfolds for her.
Which I'm with you. I didn't really consider that would act. That you're right. That tracks though. But yeah, so the whole idea of like the sham thing, which apparently in the Laotian community, but also I think a lot of Asian communities, like divorce is kind of, it's like the 50s mentality with divorce. It's not impossible, but it is very frowned upon socially. I love that Bill's not invited, but keep Bill out at all costs. I thought that was really funny.
But I also really like how towards the end of the episode, Khan's just like, oh, it doesn't matter anymore, Bill.
So Connie, she kind of sees like the mistake, and like Chan really just Chan really ingratiating himself to the family and everything, really just shoving poor Bobby to the side there and just not giving him any props at all. She sees like kind of some error in her ways there a little bit, like she's kind of disgusted with the whole affair.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel for Bobby, who again I love that Bobby at no point did he tarnish Chan. No point did he ever really just
when he could have. Bobby's probably got dirt on the guy.
Absolutely, he held his tongue, and I immediately respected him for it. But that kind of thing. But Bobby doesn't even get the credit there. I love that Hank has a tail with the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so of course via Dale, the Bobby, tells Connie tells Bobby the truth, and it gets broadcast all over the place. So it's typical fashion. I like that Min felt remorse this is a really great bit within the episode with the cons where Min. I really like where we ended things with each con, by the way. I love that Min felt bad for forcing this lie on the Connie. And Connie has like that great barb about divorce and everything, about like the whole why she doesn't want to be with Chan, even if it looks good for the family. And then Peggy Hill's to me, Peggy Hill's best moment of the whole season when she gave Connie the advice.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And Connie and Peggy have always had kind of like a decent dynamic with each other, as we saw. So.
Exactly. So I thought that was great. The whole golf course bit between Bobby and Connie was really, I could use a hug, which was adorable. But the bit where he's kind of sad, he's in the garage, and he's dusting off the photo of his family. I thought that was really great. And the fact that the guys are offering like, hey, you want to come to the alley with us and drink? And he doesn't say a word. He lowers the thing, but Hank rolls that beer under that garage.
Yeah, that's very sweet. That's very sweet.
God, I love that. Okay.
Alrighty. Okay, episode 9. No Hank Left Behind, the big GH episode.
It was a good episode. It was a good Hank episode.
Mm-hmm. Yes, literally.
So we learned that.
Fine, Peggy, but if he's my brother, then she's your mother-in-law.
So I don't know. Do you think we're saying Cotton died because of the whole shin jelly, or do you think it was just like Ace thing that happened like towards the end?
I mean, honestly, I kind of wish we would have gotten more information about Cotton's death in general. It seems like it happened recently, right?
I don't know. It could have been it's like a lawsuit, so settlements take time. As we learned from.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, so that is one nitpick that I have. Is I kind of feel like we could have gotten more details on, how Cotton died, when he died.
Because they're only getting 5,000
back to Arlen in any way.
Because they're only getting 5,000. If it was actually like a death, you'd imagine. I mean, no insurance companies can be stingy, but you'd imagine they'd give like a little bit more if they actually killed him, right?
But this is Cotton Hill we're talking about.
Well, that's true. The point being, it is unclear. My impression that I'm left the episode is that perhaps it is what killed him, based on how they're talking about it, but they don't really say it. Again, it was just shin jelly that didn't work. Basically, it was like lotion mixed with hot sauce. I don't know how that would be lethal, Anyway, the point being, the shin jelly thing, we have like all three. I like it. We bring back Junichiro,
Yeah, he doesn't have much to do, but it's cool that just as far as
continuity
purposes that he's there.
I love that Hank was just so reluctant to help. He saw Dee Dee was asking for a favor, and he was like, "In the car, I'll tell you in the car." So he's stuck with GH, but he sees an opportunity here. Hank, being the good man that he is,
Honestly, I could see GH if they want to continue with his character going forward, I could totally see him maybe being the Luann.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Just as far as the generation gap that the Hill that the Hill family has to deal with, you know what I mean?
That is something we should talk about briefly, Tiki. Season 15, assuming there is one, they probably have to address Luann.
Right, and honestly, with Luann, I'm kind of the opinion that Brittany Murphy was so iconic in that role that I don't think you recast her.
Well, that's I don't think they bring her back. I think they have to address her though. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, you have to address what happened.
A line that I'm not saying they kill her off in the show. What I'm saying, they have to address oh yeah, she and Lucky are doing this.
Right.
I can't remember. Do you remember when Brittany Murphy died? Do you know what the year was?
It was probably pretty close to when the series ended. Honestly.
Well, that's the thing. So I wonder, because I could have sworn, I don't know if it was coincidental or not. The show ended with there was a nice bit, a nice tribute-y kind of bit with Luann and Lucky, and they both passed. Now I don't know if that's coincidental or not that happened. That just timed out that way. If they had all the lines recorded, then they did a little trick. I can't remember. I mean,
Brittany Murphy, she died quite a while ago.
So well, this was 2010.
She could have died while the original show was still going on. That one surprised me. I don't know if she died after, but I'm not sure about that though.
That's the thing. I don't. Oh, okay. So John Kelling says 2009, which would have been right before the end. So
right. Yeah.
It might have been an actual tribute, maybe not for Petty, but Oh, okay. Okay. So, but you're right though. I could see he could fill in that. And I gotta be honest. Okay, I don't want to speak ill of the dead. All right. Well, I'm not speaking ill of the dead. I don't want to speak ill of the character of the dead. Luann was like one of the trimmed fat elements of the show, which I think really helped losing her here to a degree. And that Luann was good, but many a time story, like in terms of the division of story, she was a B plot or a C, honestly, sometimes a C plot that it would drag, it would kind of distract from what the interesting stuff was in the episode. I think that really helped a lot of the pacing this season.
You know what? I feel like Luann. I feel like she was very instrumental as far as like getting the premise of the show off the ground. You know what I mean? Like in the early days, she was very important. But I do kind of feel like by the time we get like, I will say, Dragon, I'm not a fan of the Lucky stuff, just in general. I think that whole subplot, like I feel like it ate up way too much of the back end of the series, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but with that in mind, I mean, I don't know.
See, I don't want to say we never got good Luann stuff, but it felt like, especially in the married years of her, it just felt like we're cut to, well, we got to give Luann Lucky because they're around. We got to give them something to do.
Right, and I feel that, yeah.
No, it felt like our pacing was tight because we had less characters, which I think it kind of helped.
No, you're right. All
right, anyway, so point being, GH wants to do this man-made, very, I guess, Rogan-esque kind of inspired.
Like, definitely Rogan, also like Andrew Tate, all kinds of different,
It's not just one influence; it's kind of a
it's an amalgamation for sure of that kind of subgenre.
So basically, there's this boot camp in R. Basically, it's about kind of embracing, like it's kind of like it's kind of embracing manhood, kind of a thing, and really. And I love this. So basically, the theme of this episode is Hank Hill tackling toxic masculinity in the coolest way possible. Which, I mean, was great. So I love that Hank, and the basically calls, we go around. I love the realization that, okay, this isn't just like kind of a macho, like Joe Rogan-y kind of thing. This is actually something a little bad. This is, this is like, oh, yeah. That realization of the episode, like, oh, boy, we're really getting into that topic with Hank this week. Okay.
Right.
But again, I love that Hank, through his respectable way, he basically set everybody straight with the nads of truth. He went around there and he pointed out that they had that great speech about my wife, mother, and propane delivery woman. They saw me through some hard times, and maybe you haven't earned it yet. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good kind of like generational struggle for Hank to be involved in, I think.
Yeah, Peggy had this is a good Peggy Hill storyline this episode. The whole, she injured her knee, and she has an excuse to see Bobby, and they kind of do some bonding, and he helps her get over MRI anxiety. Yeah, I mean, you've had MRI anxiety, haven't you?
Honestly, it's never really bothered me, Dragon. I've had MRIs for kidney stones and stuff, and like in those moments, I'm just like, please just get it the fuck all out of me. Do whatever you need to do. I don't give a shit.
Right. So you're not claustrophobic at all?
I'm more claustrophobic in regards to, like, for example, I will get very claustrophobic if I get on a bus and it's literally just standing room. And I'm claustrophobic about being in other people's space, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I'm not claustrophobic when it comes to being in tight spaces. Maybe that's just the introvert in me.
No. But anyway, so I just kind of like her. So Peggy's story I thought was pretty solid here. And the Cotton flashback was great and haunting. Just seeing GH potentially becoming the next generation of Cotton.
Just like one last taste of Toby Huss doing Cotton, which is great. Yeah.
So in general, though, it was a nice kind of juxtaposition where we have, like, on one side of it, we have this whole thing about, like, masculine in the wrong sense of the word, what it means to be a man. On the flip side, we have Bobby being a really good son to his mother, which is, And, at the end, though, when they're restoring the car, they bought GH car and they're fixing it together. And there's that whole thing of, like, the too bad old man was a great send-off. It was like the last.
I love that. I love that line. I love that line so much. Yeah.
Very nice.
Also, we'd be remiss to not mention the little Easter egg involving, that's my purse. I don't know you.
Yeah.
I will say this is probably the biggest, like, member berries moment of the whole season, but I don't care. It was funny.
Also, there's an Office Space alumni in this. We had Diedrich Bader.
Nice.
As Eli, who was our broy, kind of like guy around the seminar.
Right.
Okay, last episode.
Right. Last bit we have a sounder investment. Dragon, this is straight up one of my favorites. I love this episode, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised you're not on the same page.
I don't look. I thought it was a solid episode. I don't think it was the strongest finale.
Honestly, I think episode 9 maybe would have been a better finale.
I kind of agree.
Just because that kind of like that, and that would maybe even kind of like open the door more a little bit for GH to, to take over the Luann role.
Yeah.
But outside of just being a finale, though, Dragon, I just thought this was just a really, really good character episode, a great Boomhauer episode. Let's see. Peggy is actually pretty on point here. Sorry. I'm just trying to think of exactly what I really like about this one.
Mr. Strickland?
Yes, thank you. That's exactly it. Dragon, it was a fucking reveal to me that Buck Strickland was even still alive.
Yeah, I was wondering. I too thought he died.
Right. So like when we see him and he's on like the little like exercise walker thing and he's like all wrinkly and shit, I'm like, oh my god.
And he's still stealing, he stole the investment.
He's still taking advantage of Hank, probably even more so than he was, Oh man. No, Buck Strickland in this episode kind of made it for me. If anything, that is kind of like the one thing in this episode that is season finale worthy is the reappearance of Buck Strickland.
Yeah, so again, we hit another retirement thing about what to do with the nest egg, the 401k kind of retirement money, and but again, I'm absolutely with Hank and like, no, I'm not going to invest in an idea my friend just came up with.
It's a dumb idea, honestly.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and the fact that they're getting all swept up in like the marketing of the idea before the actual idea itself.
That's the thing, I did really enjoy the comedy of it. I do think that this is a really good social satire on kind of like the quick rise and fall of startup businesses.
But you got to remember, is where Mike Judd really got to start with the whole Office Space of it all, with that kind of humor. Anyway, so so the moment Hank invests, business fails. Essentially, it's a loss, but Peg, she bailed out thanks to Hank's influence, saved a little bit of money at the end there, so that worked. Meanwhile, Bobby and Connie, they're having some dating hurdles, but I thought it was endearing just seeing them like they're trying. They're finally there. It's. But I like that. I love one. So Connie gets injured. She dislocates her shoulder, and I love that we see Bobby cares and knows so much about Connie. He knows all the hospital information. He's very sweet with her, and he basically makes it a thing. Like he doesn't want to break up with her or anything, but he says, maybe we should do more adult things together. Versus like basically they're thinking about the relationships when they were kids, all the stuff they wanted to do when they were kids, but they can't really. It's a whole it's the growing up story.
Yeah, totally. I think the moment with Connie just drugged up on the hospital bed, Dragon, that to me was like the biggest she is absolutely her mother's daughter.
Oh yeah.
It is so everything she does in that moment is so min-coded.
It'd be so hysterical if it's gonna sound horrible. If just I don't know, domestically or maybe about to be in the throes of passion, maybe. she said, Bobby Hill.
Oh my god. No, that's the thing. In the state that she's in, I could totally see her.
That's the thing. It just feels because remember, she kind of wanted him in that. She kind of wanted him in that scene. She was getting a little flirty. And
right.
Just imagine if again, doing the whole Peggy Hill thing, we're like Bobby Hill. if that was like the thing they'd be like.
And then I keep referencing it, Dragon, but the Boomhauer billboard just fucking kills me.
Tell them what it says.
You know what? I wish I had it word for word. I should have written it down, but basically, it's the extent of it is like, "Hey man, dang old
pigs."
Yeah, dang old pigs, man. We gonna kill them dead, man. I tell you what. just seeing the Boomhauer isms on a billboard in text just killed me, Dragon. It really did.
It's still every time I think about Boomhauer, the Boomhauer talk. Always reminds me of the episode where we did the Rashomon episode, the firehouse, in which we saw everyone's perspective, like POV, on like what went wrong. And Boomhauer's that he's talking is completely like the normal Mike Judge voice, and everyone else, like Hank, Bill, and Dale, are doing the Boomhauer talk.
Oh God!
Like that's how he sees the world. He's the only one who's intelligible. Right. Anyway, so point being, that's very sweet with the kind of their lovebirds there. We capture a bunch of hogs. Non-lethally in this case. We've been basically killing them and growing them up, which is pretty bold this day and age.
Honestly, it is a little bit. Yeah, it's one of the more non-PC things that the season gets away with.
Yeah. All right, so then we end on John Redcorn getting the last word, which is appropriate.
Very appropriate, very appropriate. Yeah.
It's a good end of like all the investment stuff, like John Redcorn's Red Corn.
I'm not gonna lie, I got a pretty big laugh just based on that pun.
It's a good pun, and what, just giving John Redcorn like the sales pitch for it. It's like, yeah. I think this is what the sign said to you. Daniel, this little piggy, Dad, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway,
a little bit this big, Dad, I'll tell you what.
So an appropriate and an appropriate tribute to Jonathan Joss. Yeah. Also, what was nice? This to me was a classy thing. I'm sure you picked up on. He was holding the dog.
He was. He
loved that dog, man.
Oh man, no, okay. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad you mentioned that, Dragon. The dog. It was almost too much for me emotionally.
Yeah.
Like in a good way, but like I'm gonna get choked up just talking about this, man.
I mean, remember, he was going to pay essentially pay tribute to the dogs. That's what he was
dog
doing.
that the fucker that shot him also killed.
Pretty much, yeah.
So that was a lovely tribute. It's almost too emotional. It really is almost too emotional for me. But yeah.
All
right. Okay, so final thoughts, Dragon.
Final thoughts again, just a chef's kiss of a season. It sounds like we're getting more, which is great news. I hope it is. But I can't say enough nice things about the season. Would like to talk more about it, but schedules to keep. But it was good.
Look, okay, you know what? I'm sorry. We were going an hour, and we had gone through 2 episodes, Dragon. I'm glad I said something.
Well, maybe you could have said something earlier. Maybe you could have taken the lead earlier.
It back. I'm glad I said something, or else we would have been on episode fucking 5.
Well, I wish you could have said something earlier.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, instead of just like you distracted me with the type and all that. Just making it feel like, okay, I've screwed the pooch already. All right.
God. All right, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry about that.
God forbid it waits till after episode 3 or before episode 1. No, it has to be on episode 2.
All right. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I definitely think this is a big win for Fox, for Hulu, for fucking Disney.
Oh, come on, don't be bitter.
I am a little bit. It is weird to think that King of the Hill is technically a Disney product. You got to admit that.
Let whatever gets us Hank Hill, just leave it be, man.
Okay, fair enough. I can't argue with that.
Why do you hate propane, Tiki?
I don't know how to answer that. All right. Okay, so big thanks to John Kelling, Devourer of Worlds, for joining us in the comments and also coming in clutch for some of the details. I appreciate that, John.
Yeah.
And we will see y'all later. I tell you what.
Whoa.
Dragon, do you want to join me tonight? I'm planning on having dinner with the Nuejos.
With the